Hello humans, I'm Yoshiller, and welcome to a recap vlog video thing for the 2015 Video Game Awards. Now this would be a lot like my other video vlog recap things, except I was not allowed to use a video camera inside of the Microsoft Theater, which is where the event took place. So I figured that's fine, that's cool. So in order to provide imagery while I talk amongst all of you people, I decided that I'm going to go ahead and just show the pictures that I took while I was at the event, because I was allowed to take pictures. And I'll combine that with footage from the actual 2015 Video Game Awards live stream in combination with pictures that I took from other events. Basically, you'll have some stuff to see. Just know that I do not have any video footage of my own from the Video Game Awards 2015. Anyway, the Video Game Awards 2015 is my first time attending the Video Game Awards in general. I mainly attended it just because it was in Los Angeles, and I live about 30 minutes away from the city, and I go to all sorts of events in Los Angeles, so I figured a video game event? Cool, let's do it. And I don't really know what prompted me to do it, but I just decided I'm gonna go. And then, you know, as luck would have it, I bought my ticket, and then about a day or two afterward, I was offered a ticket, and I didn't really have any friends that wanted to go with me, so I had to decline the offer because I didn't want to just take someone else's ticket without having a reason to use it. So I went on my own. It was cool, and so on the day of the event, which would be Thursday, December 3rd, I had the plan to take a train down to the city and just kind of make a day out of it. I was gonna take a train down to Los Angeles Union Station, which is a big train station in Southern California, and then from the train station I was gonna kind of go around the city and make my way over to the theater, because the theater is about 2 or 3 miles away from the station. But what happened was I got to the train station that was nearest to me, and it said the next train is coming in 9 minutes. And with my train station in Southern California, there are 2 trains that run on it. There's the Amtrak train, and there's the Metrolink train. And if you buy a ticket for one, it doesn't work on the opposite train. So it was something like the next train that was coming was an Amtrak train, and that comes in 9 minutes or so. And I tried to buy a Metrolink ticket because it wouldn't let me buy an Amtrak ticket. So I figured I would just explain to the conductor it wasn't letting me, yada yada yada. And if they didn't allow me onto the train, that's fine. Well, sure enough, that's what happened. Was I bought a ticket, and the conductor was checking my ticket, and he said, "Sorry, man. You know, rules are rules." And I said, "Okay, no worries. I'll just catch the next train." Well, the next train didn't come until 2 hours later, so I decided that I would just take a Lyft down to Los Angeles. And for those curious, Lyft is one of those apps where on your phone you download the app, you say you want someone to come and pick you up, you put in a destination, and sure enough, someone comes and picks you up and takes you to your destination. And the guy that picked me up was super cool. I believe he was from Argentina. He was very enthusiastic, very fun, and luckily for me, he liked Amiibo. He liked talking about Nintendo, and I told him I was going to the Video Game Awards, and all in all, it was a pretty fun, pretty cool ride. So he took me down to Los Angeles, and I grabbed lunch and all that good stuff, and I'm a couple hours early. So the doors for the event don't even open until 4 o'clock, and the actual event starts at 6 o'clock, and I'm down there at about 1 o'clock. So I pretty much just waited out until the doors for the Microsoft Theater opened. I took a couple pictures, made a couple tweets, and I met up with some fans, and we played Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, and we had a pretty good time. And we saw a line forming off the side of another building, so we weren't sure if that was for the Video Game Awards or not. So we went over and inspected the line, and there was a guy with an Xbox shirt in charge of the line, so we asked him, "Is this for the Video Game Awards?" And the guy goes like, "Oh, no way, you're not going to the Video Game Awards, are you?" Kind of poking fun at my Yoshi hat and all that. And I said, "Oh, you bet I am." And he goes, "Okay, in order to get in this line, you have to be 21 or older, and you have to have proper ID." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm not 21 just yet, but I do have proper ID." And then he goes, "Well, sorry, man, we can't let you in the line." And I said, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, positive." I'm like, "You can't even do the thing where you put X's on my hands or a wristband on my arm?" Because I've had that type of thing be done before, and that's not a problem with me. So he goes inside to check, and he comes out and says, "Sorry, man, no can do." And I said, "Okay, I guess I'll head home then." And everyone else was like, "Really? You're just gonna head home? You're gonna miss the Video Game Awards?" And I said, "If I'm not allowed in the Video Game Awards, I'm not allowed in the Video Game Awards." And the guy with the Xbox shirt says, "Oh no, you can still go to the video game awards. This line is for the pre-show. They're serving alcohol inside, so we can't let you in." And I said, "Oh, well, I don't need any of that, so I'll just go ahead and go back to my original waiting spot." So I'm still waiting there. And eventually it's 4 o'clock and the doors are open. But you can't sit inside the theater yet. You're only allowed inside the center lobby where you can use the bathrooms or buy a snack or something. And they have security gates right at the front. They have little metal detectors and security guards all over the place. So I'm checking one of my bags through, and the security guard says, "You can't take camcorders in there." And I said, "Okay, so what would you like for me to do?" And at first he asks, "Well, we'll let you run it back to your car real quickly." And I said, "Sorry, I didn't drive down here." So they offered to check it in for me. So another security guard escorts me down to another area of the theater, and the security guard is very fun. And he's like, "That's an awesome shirt you have on," because I'm wearing this 8-bit Mario shirt to kind of commemorate Super Mario Maker being one of the nominated games at the event. And I was like, "Oh, thank you very much. I'm a big Nintendo fan," and stuff like that. And so we have a pretty cool conversation while he takes me over to the area. And eventually I arrive at the place where they need to confiscate my stuff. So they give me a form that I have to fill out, and I fill out the form, and I'm standing there in front of the people that are supposed to take my stuff, and I put my bag on the table, and they're kind of just staring at me. And I said, did you guys need something else?" And they said, "Aren't you going to give us your hat?" And I'm like, "My hat? No, I'm checking in my bag." And they're like, "Oh, okay. We thought you were checking in your Yoshi hat." And I was like, "Oh, no. They wanted me to check in the bag because I'm not allowed to use a video camera here." And so they're like, "Oh, okay, have fun then." And then they gave me my ticket to pick up my item later, and I went back upstairs. So I waited for the event to open up, and I met up with some other fans and took a couple of pictures. Everyone was very nice, very calm, very chill, and I guess some people outside the theater were trying to purchase last-minute tickets. So a guy with a headset comes up to me and he says, "Hey, buddy, do you want to sit closer to the front?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely." And so he says, "Okay, here's what's going on. So we're trying to sell some extra tickets, and it's not really fair if we sell tickets that are closer to the front. So here's what I'm going to do. I work for Bud Light," this guy is saying. I guess he was some sort of Bud Light associate. And he offered to trade my ticket for one of his tickets. So my ticket originally had me sit in row HH, which is pretty far back. The rows are listed as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. And then it goes A, B, B, C, C, D, D. But, HH, that's fine. This guy offered me a seat in row E. So obviously I took it up, and I went over to row E with a bunch of other people that I met at the event who were from a Twitch account known as The Attack. There were two guys. There was Alex Corea, who gave me his business card, and he was a lot of fun. There was Carlos Rivera. Alex Corea and Carlos Rivera were two people from The Attack, and I met them, and they were super funny, and they were super cool, and I sat next to them, and they did Periscope with their Twitter accounts, and it was a lot of fun. So we sat near each other, but then the guy who offered us tickets warned us that he might need to move us because people from Bud Light might show up. So what will happen is he'll move us to another seat that's still near the front, just on the other side of the stadium. So knowing that, we accepted our now near front row seats. It was awesome. And eventually we're allowed to sit down, so we do. And it's fairly empty. Not everyone's really sat down just yet. And off to the right, I see a couple of people in business suits talking amongst themselves. And one of them is Reggie Fils-Aime, the president of Nintendo of America. And I'm kind of like, bumping elbows with somebody, and I said, "Hey, is that Reggie Fils-Aime?" And they're like, "Reggie, like Nintendo Reggie?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Yeah, that's him." And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go take a picture with him." So I went, and a couple of others went with me. And I waited for a moment of opportunity to arise when Reggie was done having a conversation with somebody. And I asked him, I said, "Excuse me, Reggie?" And he turns around and he goes, "Hey, how's it going?" And I said, "Do you mind if I take a picture with you?" And he goes, "Absolutely." And he extends his hand out to shake hands with me. And I said, "Oh." And then he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Well, my name's Yoshiller. I'm a Nintendo brand ambassador. I make a bunch of YouTube videos. And we shake hands, and he goes, oh, well then, how can I say no? Get over here. So he puts his arm around me, and we take a picture. We actually did take 2 pictures because the first one was blinded by a light. And I was very tempted to post that one to Twitter, but instead I posted the better quality picture. So obviously after I took a picture, a bunch of other people wanted to take pictures, and a bunch of other people wanted videos with Reggie, and Reggie would say his famous line, my body is ready for the camera and everything. And you know, I took my picture, and I took a picture for someone else, and I started leaving, and Reggie said, look what you did, you started a line. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, nah, it's okay, have a good show. I said, oh, thank you very much. So it was cool. And I tried tweeting it out, and Twitter would not let me send it. I had to try tweeting it out like 10 times, and eventually it goes through. And of course, the one that does go through, I put Fils-Aime twice. It says like I took a picture with Reggie Fils-Aime or something. So I apologize for the typo, or that's not really a typo. I apologize for the mistake. But that tweet then just exploded. My notifications on Twitter just started exploding, and I was just like, wow, well, that's awesome. And then I guess the artist from a popular game called Skullgirls, this artist now works on another game that's being crowdfunded called Indivisible, which also looks really cool. This lead artist lady made a tweet talking about how she dressed all fancy for this event, and then saw some guy walk in with a Yoshi hat, and everyone was tweeting at me saying like, this lead artist girl person is talking about you. And I was like, oh, well then. And so I just responded saying, I just feel honored that someone like you would even notice someone like me. And so that was cool. And that kind of brings up this question. I don't know if I was supposed to dress casually or professionally, because I saw plenty of people going with like, you know, regular t-shirts with goofy designs on them and shorts and stuff like that. And then I saw other people dress up in maybe like a polo shirt, kind of semi-casual, semi-professional. And then I saw some other people going with full-on suit and tie and all that. So I don't really know how I was supposed to dress up. I dressed up casually. I put on a Mario-themed shirt. I put on some jeans. I had a jacket with me, and of course, I had my Yoshi hat on. And if they had a problem with my Yoshi hat, I would have taken it off, but nobody really had a problem. So I just thought it was funny that someone as high of a status as her even made a comment about it, and I just thought it was funny. I know she didn't mean it like insultingly. I just thought, hey, that's cool. Someone of popular, skilled talent noticed me. That's cool. Anyway, so the show starts, and the way the theater is set up for this event is there's the front stage, and then there's like a secondary stage right behind where I'm sitting, where the host of the show, Jeff Keighley, does his announcements. And so I'm barely off camera, so there are people next to me that are kind of like messing around and standing up and waving their hands in the background so that they can get caught on camera. And so I asked the guy, I said, do you mind just waving my Yoshi hat? And the guy goes, oh, no, just stand up and do it, it'll be funny. So I said, okay. So I stood up and I waved my Yoshi hat, and it got caught on camera for a couple of seconds. And for just those couple of seconds, my Twitter feed exploded again. Everyone saying, that's Yoshiller's Yoshi hat. Man, Yoshiller, you're everywhere, whatever. Well, that would just be the beginning of myself appearing in the show, I guess. I didn't want to do that too often. I just wanted to do it once, and then that would be it. And then the show went on, and you know, it was pretty cool. There was a couple of awkward moments, but all in all, it was a pretty fun show. And what happened was, I guess there were people 2 or 3 rows in front of me that got interviewed by Jeff Keighley. And the camera was pointing at them, and in the background, I could be seen. I wasn't sure if I'd be seen or not, but I figured it doesn't matter, because the interview's not about me, it's about the people in front of me. But people were tweeting at me saying, Yoshiller, I see you in your Yoshi hat. I figured, okay, well, I mean, that's cool. And then, right afterward, the guy who gave me my ticket said he would have to move my row to the other side of the stadium so that he can move some other people there. So we said, okay, cool, not a problem. So we waited for a break to come up, and he moved us to the other side of the theater. And now I went from row E on one side of the theater to row B on the other side of the theater. And I usually don't take pictures of everything while I'm in the middle of a show, but I just wanted to show how close I was to the front. So when Mark Hamill, the voice of the Joker, came out to the front of the stage, I actually took a picture just to show how close I was, and it was awesome. It was crazy. And so that was pretty much my night. And then the show ended, and you know, I said goodbye to everybody. I took a couple more pictures with people. I picked up my video camera from the confiscation area, and they joked about my Yoshi hat again, and you know, I figured that's fine, it's cool, they're all having fun, and they asked me if I enjoyed the show, and I said, yeah, I had fun, and that's the truth of it. I had a fun time at the show, and now I'm putting together this video, and I even made a little bit of a recap tweet, but just to kind of recap my night, I had an awesome Lyft driver take me down to the event. I met up with a bunch of cool fans outside the event. I got offered a 5th row seat and then was eventually moved to a 2nd row seat, and I sat next to people from The Attack, and they were really funny. I met the president of Nintendo and got a picture with him. And I appeared in the background of the event a couple times, and everyone started tweeting at me. And I got subtweeted by an amazing artist that worked on Skullgirls and Indivisible. So I had a pretty good time. I wasn't expecting any of those things to happen. I was just thinking I was going to sit there, have a pretty decent seat, maybe meet a couple of people and watch the show. But I had a very fun experience. It was a good stroke of luck, I guess. So that's it. And I'm sorry I couldn't really get any footage, but you know what? I didn't want to cause a fuss. They tell me I can't record. I can't record, so that's fine. But yeah, that's the story. I just thought I would explain the story as it happened, and that's about it. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them in the comment section below. But otherwise, I guess that's it. That wraps up this recap vlog video thing. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you all who met up with me at the event, and thank you Nintendo for allowing me to meet Reggie. Thank you that Bud Light guy that allowed me to sit closer to the front. Thank you to the fans who kept me company before the event even started. Thank you, everybody. It was awesome. And I hope to see you all in future videos. Bye-bye, humans. Hey, thank you very much for watching this video. If you're new here, then please allow me to give you a quick rundown of things that you can do right now. I post new videos every single day at noon Pacific time. On the weekdays, I usually post walkthroughs and let's plays and all that good stuff. And on the weekends, I usually post online matches with friends and fans. However, I also create all sorts of other videos. If it's Nintendo, then I'll probably do something related to it. So, if you'd like to show me your support, you can click the like button on this video. Or you can leave a comment telling me what you think about the video, or you can leave a request. If you want to see more content from me, then please feel free to click the subscribe button to see all of my latest content. You can also follow me on Twitter. My tag is @RealYoshiller, because Yoshiller was taken. Right now, there's also a bunch of videos on the screen. If you click one, you'll be redirected to a video or a playlist. Like I said, I create all sorts of Nintendo-related content, so chances are, if you watch this video, there's something that'll catch your interest. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys around in the future. Bye-bye, humans! Whoosh!